Welcome to the show with your friend and mine. So tell me, Doctor Squee, who's it gonna be this time? We like to hear you talk, and we love to hear you listen. And if you are not subscribed, you won't know what you're missing. So welcome to the Doctor Squee Show. Welcome to the Doctor Squee Show. Welcome to the Doctor Squee Show. Headphones up. Here we go.
Hello and welcome to the Doctor Squee Show. Just going up a few minutes earlier than planned. I apologize if that's messed anyone's plans up. But here we go. We are here tonight. We're going to talk about a new film called Killer Pig, which tells the story of a man haunted by his past who goes on a killing spree with the aid of his pig. Yeah, the tale as old as time. It stars Jake Busey, the perfect star, by the way, for this film. We'll get into that in a minute. It's out in theaters in the US on the 17th of November, on digital on the 21st of November, and at Hollywood Horror Fest screening just tomorrow on the 4th of November as we record this. So if you're on the radio version, you're too late for that now. But please welcome my guest this week. He's the writer-director. Please welcome Chad Ferrin. Chad, how are you doing today, sir?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Now, I've given the very briefest of explanations of this weird and wonderful film, which is based on a true story, which I actually missed out there. But tell us the kind of like little capsule review of description of what this film is for anyone who isn't aware.
Well, it's inspired by a Canadian serial killer by the name of Robert Willy Pickton, who killed and dismembered and fed about 49 prostitutes to his pigs. And he did this from, I think, 1981 till about 2000. And he was arrested in 2002 and went on trial and all that kind of stuff. And now he's serving time in prison.
Now, I will say...
He comes up for parole next year, I believe.
Fingers crossed. No, not fingers crossed. That was a joke. Now, I should say, by the way, just to speak of which, for anyone who's watching in Video Land, you're used to the fact that this show can go places. In Radio Land, though, just to warn you, this conversation might go places due to the nature of the film. It is a horror film. For younger ears, you might want to just switch off for the next 20 minutes and come back for the rest of the show. It'll be fine. Just like to give out a little warning. This is the poster, by the way, which I pulled up. Absolutely wonderful. So let's talk through this. So it's based on true stories. We said that. When did the real story come to you, and how did you decide that this was going to be your next project?
Well, for me, the next project is always where the money is. And so my producer and friend, Jeff Olin, said, hey, I know that I'm friends with this woman who is really interested in doing a horror film based on this serial killer from Canada, because she's from Canada and kind of grew up with the whole, the legend of it. And I said, well, if she can raise the money, I'd gladly meet her and talk to her. And he said, yeah, it'll be no problem. We set up a meeting. She seemed great. Her name is Kate Patel, and she pitched the whole story of this guy to me, how he grew up on a pig farm. His parents abused him, just kind of ran down the whole spiel about him and where he grew up in Vancouver. And so I said, okay, that sounds interesting. I mean, the minimum budget, I usually work in is $100,000 to $200,000. So if you think you can raise that, I'll get working on a script. She said, no problem. I went, finished the script.
Sorry to interrupt, but do films ever come together this easily, especially independent movies and getting finance?
I think people who, have access to money and are interested in getting into, that side of it, it's an easy thing. It's always people who are kind of weary of it, or they've been burned in the past, or people took the money and ran. It was kind of one of those things where, they're leery of the whole thing, where she was kind of just, she trusted Jeff, and then meeting me, she liked what I was saying. And then, it kind of clicked on that. So I went home, read up on Willy, saw a couple documentaries on him, and then basically his life kind of mirrored mine in a strange sense. I grew up on a farm in Minnesota. My parents and I had kind of the same kind of how will I say, rocky relationship. So it was easy for me to kind of relate to this guy, where, he related more to animals and, kind of a whole different world that he lived in instead of, the human contact. So he kind of, I could totally understand how someone could my direction was either make films and have an outlet for my messed up childhood, or kill women like this guy did. So I choose the the prior of
You just weren't that close to the pigs. Apart from that.
exactly. So I chose that direction so I could totally relate to where his mindset was coming from. And so many of the things that he actually did, the dildo silencer, the, the friend of his with the tracheotomy, and all these different characters were actually, characters that he had in the real life. So it was really kind of easy to wind them into the script, and it just kind of flowed very easily for me.
Do you know, that's fascinating, because I've really got the sense from this, and I'm just, it sounds easy to say now, but like I got the sense of three things. One, obviously the horrificness wasn't shied away from here. The craziness you've used very cleverly, I think, to mind comedy without undermining the horror side of it.
Oh, cool.
And there was something which just felt really real to me. Like there was something real experience in this. So that's really interesting you should say that. I did kind of like watching it.
No, and that's the thing. You almost want to get the smell of it. Being around pigs and being on a farm, what that. It's hard to cheat that. So I tried to be as accurate as possible to get that sense that you kind of have to take a shower after watching it, and knowing that this guy, from his birth, basically, his parents were these pig farmers, and he was, treated kind of below the pigs. They would basically say, go to school. Well, I stink and everyone's making fun of me. Too bad, go to school. So he kind of just had this weird relationship with the parents, kind of putting him below even the animals. And I think that's part of the reason his psyche was messed up. And you can never really explain those things, and I try not to, because what makes people snap? You could have the best childhood in the world, and yet you climb up a tower and start shooting people. It's who knows why or the reasons people do the things they do. But I just kind of chose that the idea that the mother and the father kind of influenced the direction he took in life.
Now, something which I found really interesting was the first half hour. It builds up really. It's about the half hour mark where you get your first kill.
Sure.
And it felt like the bleakness that you felt going into that kill to begin with, the kind of bleakness of the town. And it's kind of like a town removed from things. And there's a lot of people who are kind of going under because of that. It feels like, because small towns can be great for some people, they can kill other people, like metaphorically as well as literally in this case. But that's felt really important to the film. Was that something you were very conscious of, creating this kind of bleakness?
Well, you try. It's the messed up thing is, you got to kind of go with what you got and the budget that you have to work with. So it was like we couldn't go to Canada and shoot it in the actual locations and all that kind of great stuff that you, of course, would want to do. But, you've got a limited budget, a limited amount of time. And it's like, okay, we've got to shoot it here in Los Angeles. Let's find some farms or what we can that kind of match the topography of Vancouver, or just so it'll pass as that thing. And we lucked out and found this great place in Acton. This guy who had this little farm there, and it's got, the trailers and the cars and all this stuff that kind of fit what the actual location did look like. So it was kind of a luck of fate. And the idea that, being a director who's used to working with limited budgets and limited resources and having to kind of work with what you've got, and fate and luck, it just happened to be one of those things that, tied in great and looked just how I could imagine it. It was fantastic. And the pigs were great. And, the different things that we kind of lucked into and found that just kind of, you couldn't wish for more.
Oh, we will get into the pigs, but I've got a few other questions first. The other thing, which was just always delightful, and I think it very much chimes with the British sense of humor, is the dark humor, which is it's running through the veins every step of this film. 1 second you do go to the bleakness of this town, then someone's there's just one scene where it's like they're in the car and this prostitute's talking about her daughter and she's getting high at the time, and it's like it's all mixed in, but in the middle of that bleakness, you end up like laughing because she says something just so off kilter to what's happening, or just something so inappropriate, and it's just so wonderful. And with films in your past, such as I did grab a few titles from your IMDb, Tales from the Crapper and Easter Bunny Kill Kill. I get the feeling you're a man which has a bit of a sideways sense of humor.
Well, I think you have to. Especially in the world today. It's all fucked up. So you kind of got to look at it as any way you can to pull a positive out of it.
That's true. That's true. But do you think, how do you kind of balance out that kind of feeling that you're trying to get of the horror and then cutting to humor? Like, again, you've done that really expertly in this film. That's what I think raises it somehow quite a lot.
I think, you know, to me, it's just one of those things that if you're going to do something scary or something gross or any of those things, that you should kind of have a roller coaster feel to it. So it gives an audience a minute to rest, so they're not just bombarded with nonstop gore or, you know, nonstop laughs or nonstop horror, whatever it is. There's, you know, just kind of a thing to kind of get the audience kind of go, okay, that was a laugh, and then maybe a gasp, and then, you know, it kind of helps it just kind of feel more of kaleidoscope of a film instead of just one gray flat piece of crap, you know.
Fair dues. And like the other, like Jake Busey, of course, a wonderful actor, not only an acting legend but an acting legacy. And I don't say that to take anything away from him, because I know he's a great actor in his own right, but it really feels like the fact that his dad goes out there like in the way he acts seems to have certainly come across in Jake's acting. He is so ready to do the weird and the wonderful, but in his own way, definitely. But it's I definitely get that feeling. It's kind of like you already started feeling quite free. What was it to work with that kind of like wonderful energy he's got?
Oh, he's really fantastic. And it was one of those things where you never really know when you work with an actor for the first time, especially one with a name and has, you know, some great credits behind it, that how they're going to be. Are they going to be a diva? Are they going to be, you know, okay, I'm, you know, not feeling well, I'm not going to show up. You know, any of those, there's always that terror. And he was just great from day one. And, you know, all the way, I think on like the fourth day, we were doing the scene in the trailer after, you know, he had raped one of the prostitutes, and his brother's knocking on the door, and basically he had to change his clothes, run to the door and whatever. And this 50-inch television, you know, the old school big, you know, 300-pound TVs, knocked over and fell on his leg. And, you know, I thought, oh my God, the shoot's over. But he went through it, finished the scene, cut, and then he fell down and, you know, screamed because it hurt like hell. But he was a total trooper, you know, whereas other actors I've worked with, an injury like that, they would have, you know, said, screw you, I'm out of here. But he was top notch, and, you know, I'm excited to work with him again.
And do you guys, you know, did you talk a lot about the fact that it was a real life case? Was there sort of like, did you just have to write and then just go with, look, this is just our film, it's no longer the real event? Or was there any kind of like deference to that?
No, I give all the actors, you know, I sent them links to read up on the killer, on the story, and then the documentaries to check out, just to kind of get a feel of him. But there was never anything of, oh, play it this way or do it this way. I kind of like to see what they come up with and how it comes out. And he, you know, the first day it was like he nailed it right then. And, you know, it's directing after that was minimal. Just, you know, here you have to come in here, you have to do that, light a cigarette or whatever it might be, and giving them the freedom and kind of the excitement of coming up with some stuff on their own without, you know, having them to stick exactly to the page or whatever it is in the script, but just saying, look, let's have fun with it. We've got to do 12 pages today, and we've got, you know, 8 hours to do it. So let's figure out the fastest and best way to do it and get it in 1 or 2 takes. And, you know, he nailed it, and so did everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, because I've seen Jake seems to enjoy doing kind of quite a lot of these independent films as well as kind of bigger budget stuff. And I was, you know, let's face it, every film, everyone goes into it with the best intentions, but some of them come up better than others, especially with independent film. It's just such a difficult thing to master. But it just seemed like he was having so much fun with it. Like he really got to do everything in his tool bag in this film as well.
No, totally.
Great compliment to you, I think.
Oh, and I think, and you know, it was one of the best shoots I've ever been on. And, you know, I've heard that from everyone on the crew as well. And there was just something kind of magical about it. You know, you can't, who knows why exactly, maybe because of the dark, true story element. I don't know. Some things are kind of weird that it comes out something so dark and so messed up, and being a true story was the most fun to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why?
Let's talk pigs, because not only are there some just you know, there's obviously use of real pigs in there, but the animatronic pig you use in there is brilliant. Again, it nails that thing of like you see it in one scene and you laugh. You do, when I first saw it, I laughed. Then I saw it kind of going to town in another scene, and it's like that does look properly brutal. That seems like a bit of a magic act in itself.
No, you know, Joe Castro did all the special effects and created the pig, and did the puppeteering and all that stuff, and he was just fantastic. I mean, the pig acting on his part was top notch.
Do you remember when you first saw it yourself?
Oh, I thought, he said pictures of him sculpting it and all that kind of stuff. Not only the animatronic pig, but also the mask that Jake wears. And it blew me away. I mean, it was just really fantastic.
Have you ever seen the film by Kevin Smith, Tusk?
Yes.
it really called to mind that thing again, because it mirrors perfectly that idea of like it can be just really funny in one shot. Another shot, it's literally going into someone, and you see Justin Long crying underneath it, and that's the feeling I got from this. Even though it's purely animatronic, that pig could be so many things. I felt. I want to see the pig in another film, quite frankly.
Yeah, me too.
And have you used like that kind of animatronic before? Was that a new kind of thing to you? Or puppet? Sorry, I don't know exactly how it worked, but
I've used some puppets on other films, but it was just this was probably the biggest and most used of any of them, and it was actually pretty fun.
And when
puppet does talk back, it's great.
How much of that stuff, which, as I say, works for kind of going between the different feelings, how much was already there? How much was the editing really crucial to kind of nailing those different styles which you've woven in there?
Well, I think, that's the great thing of I edit all my own films, so it's kind of an easy thing of knowing what you need and what will pass, time-wise, if you like. If you have a whole bunch of other things you want to get, but it's like, okay, well, we got this, and now we just need a close-up of the pig's snout. And so now we got it. It'll make a scene, move on. So it's always just kind of a thing in the back of my mind of knowing what I need and what I get and what time it is and how much stuff we have to get and what we just barely need to get to make a movie. So I always kind of go in with that mindset instead of, having never had, an unlimited budget or unlimited time. I'm just kind of used to now making films in a short period of time with a short amount of money, and making the best thing you can possible. Like you were saying before, no one comes out to make a bad movie. I just go out with the mindset of making the best I can with what I got and hope that there's an audience for it. And, so far, so good. I mean, that's all you can really hope for. I mean, I'm not trying to be, Steven Spielberg or George Lucas or Stanley Kubrick. I'm just trying to be me and make the best film I can with what I got.
That's one. I'm sorry about the barking there. My dog just very excited. Willow was very excited about this idea.
Excited.
She was a fan of the film too. I mean, there was one scene in particular where it's sort of now something I thought about all throughout the film. But there's one scene in particular, and again, this sort of speaks to the kind of like different genres used in here. But the scene when in the solicitor's office, it's Jake and his brother in the film. So I'm really bad at character names, so I do apologize. But they're there in the room with the solicitor, and it almost felt like the other two of them were in this kind of like almost like this romp of a comedy, and you've got Jake who is he's haunted throughout, but it's still hilariously funny. Like, what was it like just after some of these, like, what was the kind of, did Drake go really into it? Was he kind of like still stuck a bit in it afterwards? Or was it just, he just snapped out of it? And
no, he just snapped out of it. I mean, that was kind of the neat thing. He would really, it was impressive.
You see, this is the thing. I think he's done so many great comedies and stuff. Like, people forget that he can, like, again, I think this is a bit of a gift of film just to show everything that he can do.
Sure. No, and the fact that he's a cool guy, that always makes it so much better, because there can be a great actor and they can do all these great things, but if they're a pain in the ass, it's kind of like, who cares how good they are? It's kind of like, cinematography can be passable and it can be great, or it can be The Godfather. But the time you have to do it, and 90% of the audience doesn't give a crap. They're just like, it's a movie. Does it entertain me? Did I watch the whole thing? So and the same with acting. It's like some people are great on screen and they have a great magnetism and a great presence, but their acting is So you kind of got to go, if you can find an actor who's got all the things, the presence, the good acting, they show up, they're not a pain in the butt, it's a godsend. And, Jake is definitely one of those.
I can totally see that. So tomorrow is the big Hollywood Horror Fest screening. That sounds like just an amazing event. What's it like to be able to take your work there?
Oh, it's it's exciting. We played another film there a few years back called Exorcism at 60,000 feet, and they put on a great show and had a nice Q&A, and Beiling was there as well, and Robert Ryan, and all the cast and crew, and it was just a good time. So I assume this will be even a better time.
Well, I think this one's going to go down the storm. As I say, I really enjoyed this film. Thank you so much for it. Just quickly, as I say, this does go on the radio as well as on video version. Is there a song we can play for you going out of this interview?
Wow. My Way?
My Way? Frank Sinatra? Sure. And any other version?
What's is this Sex Pistols version?
Excellent choice. That was the other one which did spring to my mind. Yeah, nice. Thank you so much. Thanks for sparing some time for us today, Chad. Thanks for agreeing to me just a little bit earlier for some plans which then got cancelled. But we'll never mind that now. Best of luck for the film. And is it on a worldwide release on digital on the 21st?
I believe it's actually, yeah, it's out. Well, it'll be digital in the US on the 21st. And then I think it just came out in the UK. And it's coming out in Germany in November as well.
Oh, excellent. So please, guys, do go and check it out. It's the wonderful... I know we're just past Halloween, but keep the scares coming. This is a really great, not only horror film, it's funny. It's got some great music in there. Please do check it out. Thank you very much, Chad.
Hey, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
I'm Dr. Squee. That was my show. And in a world where you can be truly anything, please be kind.